Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Anne must be kept busy at the shop. Well, it's only 1:30, so it's us eager ones who are here early. Is everybody caught up?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm just doing a small cowl, so I received the clue and I'm done. That's looking nice, Christy.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was nice.
Large cowl, and it's so much fun. And it just feels better and better, now that the weight of it is kind of, stretching it a little bit to sort of block. I'm just really excited about it. And so then I bought some of the Corridale, and I'm making the North Wind cowl out of that. So I just love this Corridale. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm having fun over here. We're having kind of a coolish summer. And I mean, like right now, what is it? It's probably not even 70 yet, I don't think.
Oh.
63.
Where are you?
Bellingham, Washington. So that's,
Oh.
that's north of Seattle, about 20 miles, maybe not even that much from the Canadian border, from British Columbia. So it's only going to be 69 today. And yeah, I mean, we've just been having the most mild one. I love this weather. I don't need it to be in the 80s, but some people don't feel like they've had summer unless it's been in the 80s or even the 90s. And I'm okay with it. I really like it like this. Shorts weather. So it's been really pleasant, very pleasant.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I'm liking this summer as well. Today's an exceptionally warm day, but it's been a lot of rain and just comfortable weather. You can go for a walk and you're not overheated, and
it's perfect.
kind of nice.
Where do you live, Jose?
I'm on the east coast of Canada.
Oh, okay.
In New Brunswick. In New Brunswick, yeah.
Oh, cool. All right. I love Canadian people.
Well, right back at you.
There's just a certain gentility, and maybe I'm stereotyping, but because I'm stereotyping in a positive way, maybe that's okay.
I'll accept it. I'm not always nice.
Who is?
But I hopefully won't ever
just
show,
okay.
I won't ever show you here. Catherine knows me better.
She's all right,
Yeah.
I don't really love her or anything. I'm just kidding. I love her a lot.
It's mutual.
Has anybody ordered more of the CVM? I'm just curious. I really want to, but I have not, because I had to order a new iPad. So,
oh,
I know. So I'm on a budget.
Darn. I hate when things cut into my yarn budget.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, I got my replacement skein, of the CVM, and they're not going to charge me for it, because oh yeah, I don't think you were on the call.
No, I was having tech problems, so I got I had to, yeah, it was a whole crash nightmare on Wednesday, but that's okay. I know you were having problems. Yeah.
Yes, and so Anne had said, just email us and we'll send you a replacement skein. So while I was waiting for the replacement skein, I just couldn't stop knitting with the yarn because I liked it so much, even though it did have some flaws, And I thought, I'm not going to go rip all this out when the new skein comes, So then I emailed David and said, can I just pay you for the replacement skein? Because I'm not going to send back this other one. So, so my skein came, and oh my gosh, I'm going to have to order more, Catherine. I am going to have to order more. It's just like, oh.
Yeah, I really want to get a sweater quantity, but it's going to have to wait because I'm not going to spoil anything, but I am like beyond in love with the barn box yarn. So
Oh, you
that's
got
really
it already?
priority number one for me right now.
When did it arrive, Catherine?
I got mine yesterday, and it
Okay.
really it turned a bad day into a really good day. And I'm like over the moon over the barn box yarn. So
That's
yeah.
great. That's
so my
great.
whole
I've been
Rhinebeck sweater
thinking about what I'm
plans
going to
may
make
have
with it
just
too.
changed, or I might be
Yeah.
overly ambitious as normal and try and do 2 sweaters. Who knows?
The
But
sweater
I love the
quality
barn box.
quantity orders are going to be flooding in on that one, I think.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil it for anybody who hasn't gotten it yet.
No, but
Oh,
there's going to
I
be
haven't gotten
a
it, but
sweater
I've
quantity
seen the,
need. Yeah,
I've seen
it's
the
nice.
ads on Facebook.
Anybody
It looks
who,
nice.
The ads on Facebook.
Yeah, I just
Oh,
saw
it
it
is?
this
Is
morning.
the
Yeah.
word out?
Yeah, well, there's an ad on Facebook. Well, you know, one of the,
Well,
when
so
I
can
knew
you
right
order
away.
it?
when we add something to the store, I think it immediately goes.
generates yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so can we order it yet, or do we have to wait till tomorrow?
No, you can. I mean, if it's available, you should be able to find it on our website at this point.
I was looking last night, I couldn't find it.
It might have been.
Now, really, you should have to wait till everybody gets it. That's not fair.
It's true. I thought it didn't go live until the 17th.
Well, it's the email's going out tonight at 6 EST, so it will at least be available by then. It should all be turned on.
I'm looking right now.
Yeah. Because I know I got a test email this morning while I was in class, and I haven't looked at it yet, but I assume that means the link is live.
It's there.
Yeah.
Let's just pause right now so she can go order.
No, you guys don't have to pause. I'm gonna dip out at some point because I'm getting a delivery of a box for my mattress like in 15 minutes. So I'm gonna mute and dip out and order some of this yarn because it's there.
What mattress did you order?
I ordered a razor for my bed. So it's not even like a box. I have a one of those air mattresses. I've had it for like 15 years and I love it. And the thing I love about it the most is I could take it apart and wash it, and I can lift the whole thing with one hand and vacuum under it. I've got Labradors, so it makes life really easy.
You should tell David about it because
Best.
yeah, because he'll be getting a mattress for his mom, and then our mattress is like, we have a Tempur-Pedic that's like 25 years old, and it's great, but she's been using it for several years now, and I have no idea what shape it's in at this point, so we'll probably need one for ourselves as well.
Yeah, it's one of these air ones, but the newer ones have all these bells and whistles, and because I'm an old customer, I can go in and get the basic one, and if you come to visit, you could try it. That's what you should do, is you should fly down and try it, or drive down and try it for a few nights and then decide.
Yeah.
And then we could go order it and get you the one that you want at the discount price.
Oh, okay, that sounds very good.
I think it's a good way, and you can even bring me green beans, and I'd love that. But I'm gonna mute, so because these guys are gonna be here any minute, and I don't want to disrupt things.
Oh,
How are you, Anne?
I'm pretty good. Just a little frazzled at the second, but I'll relax. I'm working on my yarn. I'm working on my yarn discovery tour project, and that makes me happy.
Nice.
Which Jose knit as well.
Oh, I was going to pretend and say I can't wait to see it.
It's not really secret knitting because we sent out a card and everything. You may have gotten a card with your barn box with a picture of the yarns. And yeah, I mean, it's not really a secret project, but I'm knitting the cowl, and I'm about 2/3 of the way through it. So I'll hold it up in 1 second. I'm counting I'm
Well,
counting to nine.
I can go get mine if you want.
Okay, yeah. So
Okay.
now it's not washed, so it's curly and stuff. But are you ready?
I want to see.
Perfect timing. Oh my.
Oh,
That's
So
cute.
it's the Yarn Discovery Tour yarn, which is the feeder brook, and I'm pairing it with Modern Deco Sport, and Jose paired hers with Better Breakfast DK, and it can be paired with other of our yarns as well. But it's very happy yarn to knit with. We have a fluorescent green combination and a fluorescent orange and pink combination,
Oh.
of which we've ordered double the amount.
Thank God for that.
Although I love the green too, I just think most people will gravitate to the orange and pink. So
Can you hold it up again, Anne?
yes, hang on one second. I'm in the middle of the stitch. So, I mean, it's not washed and blocked yet, but this is the stitch pattern. It's a mosaic stitches, you know.
Cute.
Yeah. So
It
a
kind
nice
of looks like African safari pattern with a sunset. And
oh,
trees.
everyone has their own little, like Jose said, it looked like which robots, Jose?
the bad robot logo.
Oh, it does a little bit too.
Logo.
I was going for the nature look, but yeah.
And you know,
mushrooms.
and
Ooh.
That's
or mud
great.
roots, yeah. And very quaintly, you know, because the book that it came from is from like the 60s. It's called the tram car in the book.
Oh,
Because at the time that was a very space age
very
technology.
retro now.
Yeah.
Well, there it is.
Yeah.
Cute.
Okay, Jose, talk. Oh, okay, now I can see the color.
Can you see it? It's there's some
Yeah.
peach and some yellow and some green.
Not as fluorescent as Anne suggested.
It is in
Well,
the scale.
the yellow is really bright.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And here's the hat.
Oh, cool.
Cute.
So the hat is crocheted.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that,
And you,
or I would have attempted to maybe make the cowl in a similar, you know, a knitted pattern that matched, but I couldn't find
they
anything.
kind of go well together.
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
You're
I
geometric
love that
enough.
you did
Yeah.
a crochet pattern.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did it last year, and
Crochet.
it was so popular to have the sample. I mean, so many people came in the shop for Yarn Discovery Tour just because of the crochet. Oh, Jose, that looks so cute on you.
That's
Aw.
really nice.
I was shocked at how beautiful. I've never crocheted a hat. I just thought, yeah, sure, I'll give it a go. So it was interesting reading the patterns because they're so similar but different.
Okay.
And yeah, so now I can tell you, I got to about here 5 times and I said, I went off somewhere. But you know, you rip it out so easily. It's not like putting all these stitches back on. It's
Yeah,
one.
you just have to rip it back.
Fabulous. So yeah.
And Jose made both of those items and the pom-pom from one skein of each yarn.
Oh,
wow.
and there's leftovers.
Oh my
I'm
gosh,
sending you back the leftovers just so you can
That's-
see what's left.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm knitting the large cowl, and I don't think I'm going to use up all the yarn, but we'll see.
Is Jose's hat and scarf or cowl in the green?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It's
Somehow I
green
had
and
a
yellow.
Yeah.
And paired it with the Americano Better Breakfast DK.
I think it's the feeder brook is in the colorway reflection or
Reflection, I think. Or refraction.
something like that.
Yeah, I think it's
Refraction. Refract. Oh. Now I don't know.
I thought the label that I had said reflection, but I will double check it. And then this one is called Luminous Flux.
Wow. I love that color. That's beautiful.
Yeah, and you know, as it happens, celebrating the Webb telescope and the entropy colorways. They're wonderful. The photos from that are so wonderful. I'm not really a space geek or anything, but you know, being reminded that the universe is a large and incredibly exciting place is kind of joyous at this time, I think.
And those photos are amazing.
Yeah, they really are. Oh. So after thinking about the yarn for a few days, does anybody have any other questions? We had our little chat the other night, but if anybody has questions, I was just explaining the whole genetics again to someone else earlier. It can be so confusing.
My life has been a little crazy recently, and I haven't managed to do any of these meets for a while. And then we just got back from a 38-hour power outage, which
oh wow,
has not been a useful thing for us. And I actually do have a question. I'm sure you already answered, but the lovely soft gray that I think is color number 4 for the 5 colors.
Yeah, that's the color we did this week.
Yeah, I'm really bummed to have missed that because I think that stuff is very nice. And I'm just curious, you're selling all of these eventually, right? So
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, when the knit along is over, we will post them. During the month of August, we're gonna like roll them out pretty much one by one. They may be all posted for sale at once, and we'll talk about them one by one. I don't know what the plan is. I have to check in with marketing and see what the plan is for that. But yes.
But
all of
they're on the website now if you go look hard for them, right? Because it looks like just the first 4.
Yeah, because they're available to you guys.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're listed on the website now. We haven't like announced them to our entire newsletter audience yet or anything, because we wanted them to be largely available to the knit along participants first and foremost.
Just in case Melissa wants to buy a sweater's quantity in a hurry.
Yeah.
Melissa is buying a refrigerator and freezer's quantity of food.
Oh, yeah.
And new parts for the air conditioner that was blown by bringing the power back up twice.
Oh.
And then down again for another 3 hours and then up again. And that third time didn't seem to really make things happy. Thankfully, I did unplug the stove, which I'm very grateful for, because if that had gone, that just went out of warranty. So that would have been $1,700 as well as all the other stuff. But I know how to plug that in and unplug it. It's got the biggest plug you ever saw. And so it's also very clean back there, because I've had to pull it out, and I was like, I'm pulling it out, pushing it back, may as well clean it. So yeah, no. Sweater quantity may have to wait, sadly, because I feel the way Catherine does about the barn box one. I'm like, ooh. But I'm sort of waiting for the patterns to come out, because maybe there's something that isn't sea fret that I could make with it, because the first thing I thought of course, was sea fret. Yeah.
Well, that yarn is a little heavy. Oh, you mean the fingering yarn?
The summer, yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's another one that's I think we have on the list that's a similar construction to sea fret, is Over the Water, which is another one piece. Yeah. And that'll look really nice in that cotton yarn.
And that has a color contrast, or am I thinking about salt and pepper? I think I'm thinking of salt and pepper.
Salt and pepper does, but you don't have to put you don't have to put stripes in that.
Yeah.
I think that's also on the list, but I'm not sure.
Seems like it would work though with that yarn really well.
Well, yeah,
Isn't that what
Barb knit one.
Barb made? Yeah.
Yeah, we already
Yeah,
we already been there.
Sorry, I had to see off
Barb
the
knitted.
sister with the broken shoulder and the partner with the, we just had a morning.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah. I empathize on that one. I hope your morning lasts only a morning.
I think we're done now. Everybody's
Oh,
out of the
good.
house, so it's good now.
Good,
Just
good.
me and the AC, and so far the AC is working.
Thank God for AC, right? I was
Yeah.
like, oh my God, there is nothing. Even my bloody toothbrush has a battery. Like, what? I read a paper book. I haven't read a paper book in years. It was because there was literally nothing else to do. We couldn't go outside because it's actually hotter outside still than inside. And it was an entire day off of work. Nothing, I couldn't do work. I'm a computer geek. I had no job.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, oh my God, what do we do? And Beth is like, well, let's watch TV. I'm like, on what? She's like, oh, well, that was stupid, wasn't it? Because we had just had that conversation with her mother, because her mother's like, why won't you let me watch TV? And we're like, the power is out for the whole town. 1,600 people with no power for 38 hours, and she thinks we're denying her the TV.
Hurricane Arthur knocked out my electricity for 12 days.
Oh my God. And you're alive still. I'm impressed, because I literally thought I was not going to make it.
Good thing you knit.
Yeah, I finished the sweater. during
88
that time.
degrees in the house, not knitting weather.
The last time we
See, we don't have air conditioning, so I have a we're always
I live on
We live in Delmarva, which is a swamp, and
man.
the 86 degrees outside and 120% humidity, or whatever the hell it is, and the downpouring rain. Yeah, it's not something where you cannot have air conditioning. Plus, a 93-year-old can tolerate about a 2-degree window of temperature range, and so she just lost it entirely.
Oh dear.
She may still end up in the hospital. We're not completely sure that she's bouncing. Well, there's not really a lot of bouncing, but we're not sure if she's recovering. So yeah, we don't want to talk about that. So, but yeah, it's been interesting. I don't recommend losing power for days. It's not fun.
Headed out for 2 weeks at Christmas when the
Oh my God.
Yeah.
all the trees in town fell on all the power lines, and it took that long to get all the power lines restored.
Yeah, that happens to us a lot. And I also work from home. And so when it takes it out, I'm excited. Like, and we camp, so we have electric lanterns. And I'm like, yes, I can knit. Nobody can stop me. Woo!
Exactly.
Summertime would be bad.
we used to lose
We
power.
need
We
to
used
have
lose-
lanterns. That's our next thing, is to acquire a couple of lanterns.
We used to have power outages a lot here, and they've stopped for the most part, but a couple summers ago the power went out for like a 24-hour period. But when it went out, I had just set up to like freeze green beans, and which, as Catherine knows, happens like 15 or 20 pounds of beans at a time, and and the ends all have to be cut off first, and they have to be cut up. So David and I got all the electric lanterns and set them up all around the kitchen island, and together we just did all our handwork on the green beans.
Wow.
And while the power was out, there was literally nothing else to do. So
We had just gone grocery shopping like the day before.
oh no.
So that was inconvenient, but it meant that for the first day we had food.
Yeah. You eat a lot.
Yeah.
And you can eat
And
whatever you wanted.
You can eat whatever you want, because it ain't gonna last. And we have a very nice grill, so we were able to grill things, which was helpful. But everything in the house is electric, and so there were no other appliances of any kind. And that, aside from the whole TV thing, was challenging. But yeah, this is the second long power outage I've been through in Maryland. The first one was when we lived in a townhouse, And it was 3 entire days, so it was a little longer than this one, but it was just the 2 of us. And the addition of the 93-year-old changed everything. And so the first time we were having fun, it was camping, and we went and did little, like we went and drove off and went for walks in the woods. And like, we didn't just stay in the house and get hotter and hotter, you know, but we couldn't get her out of the house because the electric didn't work. And so she couldn't come upstairs and she couldn't go through the garage. And so it was a really different experience. And I think that's why it just seemed like 700 years. And then the whole bait and switch thing really did it for me, because if the power came on, they were like, oh, it'll be on by 2. And it came on at 11. And I was like, dang, that's great. Under promise, over deliver. I love it. And then it cut out like 2 hours later, and it was still 88 in the house. And I was like, I'm not happy about this. And then they were like changing the time. Oh, it'll be 2 hours. Oh, it'll be 4 hours. But it was a very large tree that fell on every power line that feeds my neighborhood. It was a tree that was so large that when they drove pieces of it past the house, they had chunks that were shorter than they were around on the truck, one chunk at a time. They had multiple trucks because it was such a large tree. And it took them 3 days to get the tree out, off of the road, but they got the power up before the tree got out. So,
Good.
yeah, so it was interesting. But I don't want to do that again for a while.
Say it had to be pretty bad for that to be the exciting news of watching the tree pieces go by.
Oh, well, and we live on a tiny road, so we don't have any traffic usually, but they rerouted, because that whole road was closed. They rerouted that relatively major road to our road. So we've also had just endless traffic, buses, and been very strange.
Poor Melissa.
I guess. I mean, the whole neighborhood is sort of in a tizzy. It's funny, any neighbor that you talk to, they're like, oh, I think everybody's just sort of flipping out. So it was that last little, oh, it's back. No, it's not. It's like, that's what did it. I was okay until that.
Yep. Well, you appreciate your power with a different level of appreciation now.
Oh, yes.
I made toast and tea today, and I was feeling really good about myself. And I brushed my teeth too, and not having to like do it myself. Like, I couldn't remember how to it's been stupid.
And really remind me, it's time to recharge all the backup batteries.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think a power outage in the summer is harder than one in winter.
Oh, yeah.
I agree.
What you need is a generator.
Our neighbor had a generator, but I'm not sure what he was doing with it, because he just ran it sort of periodically. And he didn't have lights on.
Most people that have it, because you don't always know how long the power is going to be off. Most people only have the essential appliances hooked up to it, like the freezer, the fridge, and if it's winter, you would put your heater on it,
or you turn on and off different things. Like when we were going to take showers, we would turn off the freezer and the refrigerator and turn on the water pump, so that the draw wasn't,
And we just run it long enough to make sure we don't lose our freezers and our refrigerator. Right. We don't. And then I think about 10 extension cords, so I can get my internet if I need to do a knitting Zoom.
Yeah, if you just lose power, but you keep your internet, you're okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been really nice, because we also couldn't tell anybody about it really, because our cell phones were draining so fast. Yeah. Beth actually took her mom to the casino to try to cool her down at one point, and she was like, oh, I'll just take all the electronics with me and charge them all while I'm there. And so she came back, and we all of a sudden we were like, oh, we have phones.
Or you plug them into the car in the driveway.
Yeah, we could have done that. It didn't occur to us until she came back, and she was like, we could have just used the car to charge it. So like, it's just been one of those, like, we don't know how to do anything. We feel like total idiots. Meanwhile, the cat is like, thank you. This is fantastic. Because she's finally not cold. Yeah, it was interesting. And I'm done. I'm happy with back to normal.
Well, it's good to see you back.
Yeah, I'm glad to be back.
Yeah, I was starting to wonder where you were at.
Fell in a hole, could not get out. Huh. And also forgot how to knit while I was gone. Oh no, just didn't know what row I was on. Okay, here I am again. So what are people thinking about their projects with the wool along? Have we done like a show and tell of them?
Yeah, when I was in the shop the other night, I had my samples and I showed them to everybody. But I'm in the house and I don't have them here. Just so everybody could kind of see the finished. I had the large scarf and the blanket.
I missed
Melissa, are you finding some peace with your choice of the large cowl?
I think so. I decided I would keep going. And it's now looking like something that I could imagine being a garment.
Yeah.
Before it was just like this endless caterpillar, you know?
Yeah.
But
Same
now
look.
it's actually kind of cool. And I really like this one with the open hole polka dot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's my favorite, I think, too.
There's another one too.
Yep, that's another one. And I like this latest rib. This is really nice. I want to do this on something.
Well, the Angele sweater has a whole lower half knit in that.
Which one?
Angele.
Oh, okay.
And isn't the Mister's
The
button
ribbing
band
on
that way?
Yeah, the ribbing on the misters is that. I'm sure there's several other things.
It's very nice.
I know I've used it on socks, like the David sock has a cuff knit with that. And
I was envisioning taking because I love the barn yarn so much, I was envisioning taking the C fret, because hello, it's the C fret, and then doing that pattern instead of the C fret pattern. I was thinking that might work, but I'd have to, obviously swatch it a lot. But it seems like it could work, and it's such a nice pattern. It might look really nice in a large amount, or it might be overwhelming. It would be sort of like her home office-y a little bit.
yeah, I was thinking that the yarns together might make a nice like circular yoke sweater too, with with maybe some modified design of stripes like that in the yoke.
I finished my, let me show you. I even sewed it up, and I did not cry. All of the sewing that I did is entirely due to this group. Before this group, I did not have the nerve or the capability, but now, look at my weaving.
Oh,
Ooh, just
beautiful.
one problem. My weight is not leaving. I'll put it on. It's a little warm, but I'll put it on. But you'll see, it actually fits pretty nicely in the back, but in the front we have, we'll call it ambition. A little bit bustier than I had envisioned. It also has turtles behind.
No, I think it's not, Melissa, I think it's nice. I think you're totally wrong.
No, I really like it.
It fits
so
in perfect.
beautiful.
I took Barb's sizing advice that she didn't know she was giving, and I did the 41 on the shoulder, or the smaller size on the shoulder, and then the bust size that I was going to do. So like I went down one size for the shoulders.
Yeah.
And it worked out really well, except that I can't count for shit, as we know. And so the sleeve is also the smaller size, because I put on enough, and then I just like didn't go far enough. So I'm off by 4 stitches on the sleeve, but whatever.
Okay.
I love the neckline. It's really pretty.
Well, oftentimes, you can go with a smaller sleeve if you've gone with a smaller shoulder. It depends on your shape and your arms and everything, but many people can go ahead and size down the sleeve along with the shoulders.
Well, we'll call it that was intentional then.
Time element.
And they came out nice. And I purposely made them shorter too. So I started at a larger stitch count than they were supposed to start at, you know. But yeah, I think it's really, really nice. But for some reason, I have 2 skeins, entire skeins left. And so that could account for the size difference too. Or maybe I just can't count for shit. Anyway.
Well, and
I could mix
question that doesn't really relate to this project at all, but I wanted to ask you, you helped me on the sweater fitness class and in February, and I want to use the technique that you helped me with. Can I email you with my question? I don't want to take up the time.
Why don't you go ahead and ask it, and then we can, oh, Catherine didn't mute her. Why don't you go ahead and ask it, because if it's something someone else wants to know, then.
Okay, so my question is the exact opposite of Melissa's, because my shoulders measure 2 sizes larger than me. And we talked about decreasing the number of decreases coming up the sleeve.
Right.
And then so that I would add on a couple of more, there would be more stitches on the shoulder seam.
Correct.
And that would accommodate, but do I need to change the sleeve cap in any way?
No.
I didn't think so. That was my question.
Yeah, that's the cool thing about that little change, is that you don't really need to change the sleeve cap. And you'll be doing like 2 stitches each side, so you'll have like a ½ inch or 3/4 inch more.
Half or 3/4, depending on the gauge of the sweater. It's 2 or 3 stitches. Yeah.
Okay, that should work well. Yeah, the sleeve cap shouldn't be a problem, and especially because you need it. You need that extra width, so it won't, you're just moving the sleeve cap out.
Right. And also, even though my shoulders are 2 sizes wider than I'm a large generally, and extra large in my shoulders, we're only increasing it by 2 because we figure that will also help the bust line be a little bigger.
Yeah.
Because it increases
The
not
width
only shoulder width
over the
here, but all the way across the chest. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Correct. That part of your chest is still in the area that's being shaped, but yes, you'll end up with a couple extra stitches right about here, like right at the top of your bra line.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the key is to make sure that you have a matching number of rows in all of your parts, right? And that your stitch counts match up across all of the shapes. So like when I was decreasing on the bind off, I made sure that when I bound off on the body, I was binding off the same number on the beginning of the sleeve shaping too, because those 2 seams would go together. They needed to stay the same length.
Right. But in my case, I'm not changing the bind off section.
Right. But you're adding things or
the number of
sort of decreasing things at the top. And so
she's leaving more stitches. So yeah, which she already said, her shoulder seams will have a couple more stitches each.
But wouldn't you also need to make sure you still kept the same number of rows?
Yeah, she knows that. Yeah.
Because you do the shaping, you say go for until it measures 7.5 inches or whatever it says. And I'm not changing that.
Yeah.
But the shaping itself takes rows. Maybe I obsessed over it, but I was like counting all the rows that would be shaping related to make sure that I did all.
But they're part of the total.
Okay.
But they're part of a total.
Okay.
So when you measure, you're measuring from the beginning of the armhole shaping, from before you even start shaping. So your shaping rows, whether you increase them or decrease them, are still within the total of the armhole depth. And so, you know, they don't really, the number of them doesn't really play a part that way.
You don't need to be obsessive about having the shaping on exactly the same row on the body and the sleeve. Is that correct?
No, that's never the case, because the sleeve cap is shaped throughout.
Okay.
The sleeve cap is shaped from top to bottom, and the armhole shaping is only like 3 inches or something.
Okay.
It was really a very simple, elegant fix because it doesn't interfere with patterns. It doesn't interfere with row counts or anything. It's simply making sure there's a few more stitches to cover my broad shoulders.
Yeah, and if you ever sew anything and you make those adjustments in sewing, it literally is just a change in the way you cut your piece. And that's how I came to it in knitting. It's just like, if I was cutting this, how would I shape it? You know, how would I make that change? And if you wanted to complicate it a little more, and you felt like you needed the wider neck width as well, like to go along with the wider shoulders, you would maintain the original number of shoulder stitches. Like say it's 27 to begin with, and you're adding 2 on each side, so that makes it 29. But you're keeping but you also want to widen your neck, then you could add 2 decreases to the neck to move the whole shoulder over and make the neck a little wider. And, you know, there are lots of things you can do that are equally simple that happen in parallel, you know.
Okay, I'll pay attention to that when I do it. Thank you.
Yeah, but you know, like I said in my class, and this is true whether it's class or here, it's good to decide on a certain number of tweaks and test them out in a garment and decide then if you would have wanted the neck a little bigger or not, you know.
Kind of like a recipe, just change one component at a time.
Yeah, so that you know what is affecting your fit. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I was very impressed that taking one size down on the sleeve cap and sleeve area was actually pretty straightforward. I think I was really obsessed by counting everything to make sure I got the right measurements, but it really turned out to be a matter of just making sure that I did the same thing on all the pieces that I made a transition for.
Yeah.
And other than that, it just sort of worked out beautifully. So yeah, I was impressed when I was stitching it because I thought, oh no, you know, what if it doesn't fit? And it totally fit.
A fun story about my shoulders. I was in India once and they have lots of tailors. And so I was gonna get an outfit and the tailor measured my shoulders and goes, "Oh my goodness, you have the shoulders of a man." Kind of with that head wobble. I don't know that I can do that great head wobble they do.
You have to do it with your chin. You have to wobble with your chin.
Speaking of that, have you seen the show called Indian Doctor? The Indian Doctor?
No.
It's a BBC series. It's a little bit of a soap opera, but it's a sweet one. It's sort of on the par of Call the Midwife or something like that. It's nice. It's on, I think it's on Netflix. I don't remember actually, but there's a lot of head wobbling in it. And great accents. It's about a man who, believe it or not, is an Indian doctor, but he goes to Wales and they notice that he's not a local. And it's funny and endearing.
Sounds like it's the kind I would enjoy.
Yeah, me too.
I saw the first episode and it was quite fun. His wife is
His
interesting.
wife is gorgeous.
Yeah. And she's
And she
not
wears
happy.
the most beautiful clothing.
No. She comes from a very high class family and she's not happy about being down with the peasants in Wales. She thought they were going to go to London and keeps trying to change it.
Yeah, but she grows on you.
Okay, good. The
It's
first
pretty
episode
great.
was tough.
Yeah. It turns out to be pretty great.
For a long period of time, we did have an Indian doctor who was kind of a Doogie Howser, very bright guy, who decided he wanted to go into hospital administration and got a master's degree in business beside his MD, but and finally left the practice and became a hospital administrator. But he was talking about being so busy, and I said to him, why don't you step back and stop with all the business stuff? He said, my wife would kill me. That was the end of that.
This wife was of that type.
So on a note that is about our knit along, our number 4 yarn, when I first knit with it, looked very taupey or more brownish or beigeish. And now that I've added the dark color next to it, it looks more gray. Did anyone?
Yeah, I noticed that.
It's
Yeah, I
funny how
think in
you-
the mix, it picks up a lot of blueness because a lot of the other yarns are warm. Like doesn't it go right next to the Parendale, which has that yellowy brown color?
No.
And- oh, it does. Yeah, doesn't it? Parendale was 3. And this is
Oh,
4.
okay. When you said yellowy, I thought of the Corriedale, so I was off.
I meant the Parendale it's brown, but it has that brassy brown kind of tone to it. And I think it makes the pale gray look a little bluer because of that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, on the herringbone, you don't want to make a mistake. Just figuring out where you made it. Not easy.
Sorry about the barking. Erin is having a very barky day. She seems really anxious. I don't know why.
Hey, Anne, on the last stripe, I'm doing the large cowl. We've got the dark brown. What's the contrast garter at the edge going to be? Which number yarn?
Well, you would go back to number 1, or you could use, or if you don't have enough of number 1, or you want to use a different color, it can be anything that contrasts with it.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I thought it might be number 1.
Yeah, I think the way the pattern puts it is, use number 1 or any contrasting yarn you desire.
I have the least amount of number 1 left. I don't have very much number 1 left.
Yeah, I know. And like with the blanket or one of the other things, you might end up with something where you have like the perfect amount and it's a small.
Yeah.
Has anyone heard of the Ragnar races that happen all over the world?
Yeah.
Well, there's one that ends in Langley in our town today. And 2 of our daughters are on a team.
Oh, cool.
And the whole team comes here and they first shower. So I have a huge supply of towels, lightweight towels that dry quickly. And then they all sleep. And then we have a big barbecue. So that's my day today.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
It is fun.
It has so nice of you to do that too.
Well, it's about the 6th time we've done it, and many of the runners have been consistent over the years. So we've watched their kids grow up. We know everybody's partners. One has a partner who's a chef, and he cooks breakfast tomorrow morning for everyone. So it's really quite fun.
I don't know the race. Is it just a one-day marathon, or is it a multi-day thing?
It's a relay. It's a relay. So you can have smaller teams, but the team generally is 12 people, and they rent 2 vans. So you go in waves and get a longer break at a certain point. And it's 100 miles. It starts at the Canadian border in a town called Blaine, and it ends in our little town called Langley, and it just makes the town chaotic.
That's cool.
It's also really fun because usually they're pretty high energy people. So it's not a quiet, meandering crowd. It's a pretty raucous crowd, which is fun.
Well, that Julie, that's part of our Ravelry group, she and her family, her whole family, they do the one that's in Iowa, right, you guys? The race across Iowa. It's one of those, but it's a bike thing. Not
The
a
Ragbri?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's on a bicycle. Is it a team relay idea?
I'm not sure.
No, it's I know there's a bunch of people that go out in teams as buses, you know, and have rent buses and stuff, but it's just an individual kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Which also means I'm going to sign off in about 5 minutes. So,
What are you cooking for your barbecue?
you know, I am blessed with these amazing children who realize that I stress about things. And they told me early on, we're not going to come if you stress. So why don't you just step out of the picture?
Oh, good.
Yeah. So my Hunter and I, we get everything really nice. We set the scene, and then they take care of everything.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. So I did do a Costco shop with my daughter, and then she Venmos, she doesn't have a membership. She Venmos me the money, and then all the people in the race contribute to her. But we just go over and they feed us, and we talk to people, and they do all the dishes and the cleanup. And
that's nice.
Catherine, can I ask you a question? When you buy a sweater quantity, how much do you buy?
I look at the pattern or find a pattern that's approximate to what I'm gonna do. And then I look up the size and I order. And then if it's, for instance, if it's something like 1850 yards and the skein adds up to 1800 yards, I always get an extra skein because I'm not going to play yarn chicken. I just won't do it. You know,
Okay.
And with the bare naked yarns, I don't mind having leftovers because I can use them for cowls or mitts or socks, or, you know, it's such nice yarn. It's not like I feel, so it really depends.
Okay. I'm really not ordering enough. I need to order more, Anne.
Okay.
You told me 5 skeins, but first of all, you were assuming that I was doing fingering, maybe. And the other thing is that I'm not as small as you think. And then I can't make it a sweater for my husband.
Oh, okay. I forget what sweater we were talking about.
It doesn't matter what sweater. I was juggling.
Or I'm sorry, I forgot what yarn weight we were talking about.
I wasn't talking about any specific yarn weight.
Oh, okay. the weight of the yarn really matters. So,
Yes. My
so
head,
yeah, you'll need more yarn for fingering weight and less yardage for like worsted weight. But I think when we were talking about like the knotty pine pattern, I was estimating that for the sample size, it was like 1,250 yards, but that didn't include any padding. So then you're up to like 1,350 with the padding. And then for every size, you got to add on like 100 or 150 yards. So.
and cables are different as well.
Well, the sample has cables, so.
Oh, okay.
What size is the sample?
It's the small medium and it's a 40. Do you guys remember, was it 45 inches? Let me look, hang on, sorry.
Thank you.
Watching for it right now, so that's useful to know. I got my dark chocolate confection.
Also, I find that Anne is generous with yardage for the most part compared to other manufacturers. So I always do the math. That's really my answer.
Oh, you mean in the skeins or?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the sample is 41 inches around the chest, but remember that's in a worsted weight yarn, so it's going to feel the yarn, the bulk of the fabric itself takes up some space. So like it's still an oversized sweater on me, but the sizing is every 5 inches. So the next size up would be 46 inches and then 51. And for the 41 inch, I used 1,255 yards, which is just about 5 skeins. Oh, I guess it goes into a 6. Yeah, no, it's about 6 skeins. And that's a long sweater. It's got a 17-inch size seam, so it's, you know, to the top of the leg, like covers your butt length. So for
I think I got 8 for Knotty Pine.
Yeah, like I would say whatever you would order for a Thea Coleman sweater is probably appropriate for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I got 7, I think, for my in the confection worsted. And the convenient thing about that is you can actually buy half skeins in that particular thing.
Yeah, sometimes well, in colors that we have left. Yeah,
right. I realize that's limiting at this point. But then I like to make mine a little extra long, so that should give me plenty.
and for Karen and others who asked, we're gonna. You just wouldn't believe not the argument, but trying to get our Zach and Danielle to understand that we needed to put a listing up for the Rhinebeck sweater knit along because everybody wants to sign up. And they're like, but it's on the calendar for blah, blah. So Danielle was like, well, I was going to announce it on July 27th because it starts on like August 6th. And I'm like, but people
need to order yarn.
People need time to get, exactly. You know, and what are you selling again? You know,
there's so many Rhinebeck sweaters coming out. Like you want to make sure you're on the the list and people don't start other stuff. Yeah.
So there's going to be a blurb in this week's email, and then next week's email will have a bigger splash with, you know, pattern suggestions and stuff like that. But
Good.
But by this Wednesday, we should have a listing up that you can sign up for the knit along.
Cool. Do we have a estimated date for the release of the Naughty Pine sweater? Pattern?
No, not yet, but it'll go out with when we do we'll probably roll it out with the big splash of
Okay. Okay.
I mean, I've got the sized pattern. I need to get it to Anne Marie so she can proofread it. I've just been backlogged I had 2 deadlines in one day this week. So, and she was on vacation before that. So we had to ram through a couple patterns this week. That's not as bad as it sounds. I mean, we didn't rush anything, just.
They jumped the line a little?
No, they just had to get through.
Mm-hmm.
And now I can sit down with the sweater. I need to go through the sweater myself before I send it to her.
Mm-hmm. I appreciate you giving us the specifications for the swatch, because I just started doing that today.
And did you get the yarn I sent you?
It just came yesterday and it's gorgeous. Thank you so much.
I'm glad.
I'll be sending back the alternate colorway for you to do something with on Monday.
I figured you might have DM'd me, but I so rarely go on Ravelry now. I just hadn't checked.
Well, I meant to, but I was getting myself organized. As I say, we've been taking care of my sister-in-law with her broken shoulder. So that's been an exciting 4 days. Interestingly, she broke the shoulder. We took her to the emergency room. They came back and stayed with us. The next day, she talked to the doctor and they said, yeah, we're going to need to do surgery. And they managed to get the surgery scheduled for yesterday. So that's all happened this week.
Oh my gosh.
Like in a 4-day period.
You poor thing.
Well, she's a trooper. She just spent the night again here last night. Surgery was Thursday morning, I think. So she's had 2 nights here and she just went home. Her other sister is taking her back to her house to keep the cat fed. And she's getting along great for a woman who has 4 pins or 6 pins in her shoulder now.
Wow.
And she's 75, so.
Wow.
So she sets us all a good example, but there was a lot of toing and froing.
Of course.
And everybody else in the house has a bad shoulder from spending too much time lifting boxes.
Yeah. Plus all the dealing with doctors and stuff is always very anxiety filling, even if it's not you.
Well, yeah, there's been a lot going on. Too many deadlines.
Well, at least you could be there, you know?
Yeah.
That's
so happy she was able to get hold of Bud on the phone when she fell down because she couldn't get up. She also weighs 200 pounds.
Oh,
so we finally had to get the nice boys from the local fire station to come and hoist her to her feet. She could stand, she just couldn't, with only one working arm, she couldn't stand up. And
so a friend of mine's mom,
back, so he couldn't help lift her. And I have a bad shoulder, so I couldn't help lift her. It's been a comedy of errors.
So a couple of years ago, right around when COVID happened, and a friend of mine's mom, they were having church outdoors, and she goes to church on Sunday, and she had been really busy that week, so she hadn't checked on her mom. And her mom wasn't at church, and she thought, oh, this is really odd. So they decide, they call, they can't get a hold of her, so they decide to go to her house after church. Well, 3 days before, she had tripped on a door sill carrying her laundry and broke her hip. And that woman, for 3 days, she couldn't get to the phone, but she was able to drag herself to a case of water. And when they found her 3 days later,
oh God,
you know, she was in bad shape, and she was in the hospital a couple of weeks, but she was tough. And the doctors really marveled at her, that she, you know, put up with all the pain and all that stuff. So,
Yeah.
you know, and it took her a while to recover from it, especially to get hydrated.
Yeah.
But she, you know, so it's good that you were able to be in touch and all that stuff.
She had to drag herself over to the phone, but she just got a new cell phone and she hadn't got it set up. And of course, she doesn't keep it with her and she doesn't keep it on
Oh, right.
because she doesn't like cell phones. So
I might like them more now.
I think she's a little happier with the whole cell phone concept now.
Yeah.
Because she, you know, you can't even get into the in and out of the emergency room in the doctor's office without a cell phone because they need to call you to do stuff and say, well,
Yeah.
wait here, we have to come and get you.
Right.
Wow.
It was exciting, but she did not have to have a shoulder replacement. So that was very exciting.
Yeah, that's great.
Because that's what they thought they were going to do once they started. So 5:30 in the morning on Thursday morning was not so much fun since she didn't actually get into surgery until about noon.
Ugh.
Well, they're not really set up to check you in at 5:30, even though they think they are. The doctors think they are, and the rest of the staff is going, huh? Wait, no, the door's not open yet. Go to emergency. And emergency's going, but we just saw you. Why are you here again? I thought you were getting surgery. It's very interesting.
Well, I'm glad it's behind her and you have a chance to recover and feel a little bit of semblance of normality.
We're all glad that she's recovering so well. I'm really impressed with her response time, her reaction. She's really bounced back.
That's great. Is she going to have like all the PT and stuff eventually?
Yeah.
Are they already doing that to her?
Well, they haven't scheduled that yet. She's gets her staples out in 2 weeks, and then they'll probably be talking about that. And she's able to get some home health care because she's 45 minutes outside of town at the end of a dirt road.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Which she loves, except on days like this.
Yeah.
Is she alone?
She does now. Her husband passed away about 5 years. Oh, longer than that now. 8 or 9 years ago. But her other sister lives in town a little closer than us. So between us, we're running taxi service because, of course, she can't drive. She has a stick shift.
Yeah.
Of
Oh,
course.
And it's her right arm. And she's
Wow.
right-handed. But she has the most amazing attitude about it. She has just been upbeat, and even when it hurts, she's been great. So she sets us all a good example. Now she just moved into town. Yeah.
She sounds kind of like my mother. My mother is very sturdy, which is
Mhm.
good because she has the weirdest health problems and strange things happen to her, and she just barrels along anyway. And
Great.
people are like, how do you? And she's like, what else am I going to do? She's like a good attitude, actually.
It is. Catherine, thank you for the chocolate. It was not completely melted by the time I got to it, so it went right into the freezer.
Oh, I figured it had a chance of doing that, but
No, it was
it's
good.
toffee, so
It'll be fine.
I figured you could break it into little bits and put it on ice cream at the very least.
No, it's fine. It seems to be reconstituting itself happily. I think
That's
today
one thing one does not throw away when the power goes out.
it doesn't go
Chocolate.
bad. It just melts. a
Chocolate
little.
definitely is consumable regardless of temperature.
Pretty much.
Yep.
I think I'm trained from the old swapping days.
Treats. You need to put in treats.
Always treats with yarn.
Yeah.
Knitters always have to be rewarded in
Mhm.
some way.
Well, it's just friendly.
but don't feel like you have to send anything to me, and I'm not in a rush for the yarn. So after
I know you
taking
don't
a
have it
picture, if it
immediately.
waits, it's fine.
It's okay. I know you don't have an immediate need, but on the other hand, a skein of yarn out of the house is a skein of yarn out of the house.
I was gonna say, and Anne probably ships things pretty frequently too.
Yeah. Yeah, I will be going to the post office on Monday to ship my regular orders, so it's not a big deal to add one more package.
I know I love when I have something to send to somebody, I could just bring it to Lillian and say, can you
Make it
guys?
so.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I am the shipping department too, but that's okay. As you can see, I am the shipping department. Here's my paper to wrap packages.
Yes. Sometimes I'm the shipping department too.
Well, we all need to be flexible.
Yeah, that's like a job I don't mind filling in on. It's kind of fun and
Well, yeah, it's fun to see the stuff going out.
It's satisfying too to pack it all nicely and know that the person
Yeah.
receiving it is going to get a nice thing. And
Yeah.
that was my first job out of college. I worked for a fancy grocery store, little, sort of hole in the wall kind of grocery, gourmet grocery. And I packed and shipped all of their special orders. And so I would get this basket that the person who owned the place had picked all the things. And then my job was to guarantee that everything made it. And everything included everything, like olive oil to chocolate to coffee, all the things you could imagine, glass, you name it. So I got a lot of training on how to make sure nothing broke and also make it look pretty. And so I now have the very nice capability of being able to pack anything and have it get there. I was professionally trained.
the things you learn.
Yeah. My liberal arts degree in action.
Uh-huh.
So one of my very favorite parts of the barn box is the tissue paper.
Oh, it's so pretty.
It's always interesting. And so my husband thinks I'm crazy because I have these pieces of tissue paper that are, he's like, Amy, it's the yarn.
Do you very carefully pick off the sticker so that it doesn't tear and then smooth it all out so you can
Yes. I'm glad I'm not the only one. And then,
yeah, me too.
And then I have a stack of the little stickers with this shit.
Well, I'm always glad to hear these. I'm always glad to hear these tidbits because we actually do go looking for the perfect tissue paper for each month. It's kind of a little thing. I mean, sometimes we wish we could get like the really expensive something, because it's more perfect, but we have to settle for something more efficient.
Well, it is not lost. I mean, it really, all those little details make a difference.
I really liked the tissue paper for this month. We originally were going to go with like a cloud theme, and the only cloud paper we could find was kind of cartoony. And Danielle was just going to order it. I'm like, nah, let's not get that. So I went looking and I found this, and it was I'll tell you this, it was on clearance. So
good.
Excellent.
That's always good.
I was like, look at this one. This one is really cool. It's on clearance. And I just like the little plant life on it.
Yeah. It's really pretty. So.
And the color was, I really liked it. I would have bought it if it was full price.
But it's always nice when you find out that what you like and what is beautiful is also on sale.
So, yeah.
Added bonus.
Yeah, I thought this one was especially nice too. And I love the fact that it comes in a bag that looks like a sub wrapper, so you're like, you open the shipping bag and then you open the sub bag, and then it's like one of those box in a box in a box things that I was obsessed over as a child and wanted every package to come inside of a package. And my mother was like, no. And so this is sort of fulfilling.
That's so funny that you said that about it being it's a wine bag.
It looks like the way that you get your sub in.
I know. I just think I never would have thought of that, but you're right. It is about the same.
But it's yummier than a sub.
Uh-huh. Yeah, a few months ago, not on the barn box bags, but on the regular shipping bags, David got a different batch, and I don't know why. We can't figure out why, but the paper of those brown bags, not the sub bags, but the larger flat bag.
Yeah.
And the paper was like cheesier, and they were like a ½ inch shorter, and we were completely thrown off by them because you couldn't squeeze that extra skein of yarn in the bag because it was literally like a ½ inch shorter, and the paper wasn't heavy, and so it would tear easier. Lillian and I were just, we went on strike a little bit. We're like, why the change in bags?
Here's 2 pattern repeats on my Boing
Oh,
in
nice.
stone soup.
Are you happy with the yarn choice?
Oh, wow.
Yes, very.
Oh, that's pretty.
That's beautiful.
I knew it would be.
Oh, yeah.
I asked
That's
Dan
really
for
pretty.
yarn advice, and I'm making it a bit wider.
Oh, nice.
Josie, what are you
yarn.
making?
I thought it might come out wider because of the heavier yarn and the bigger needles. And
Oh, yeah,
then
but I like my scarves and big
Yeah.
and long, and
Yeah.
I've got lots of yarn of stone soup. It's called Boing.
Boing. Boing.
Boing, like the spring. Boing.
Boing,
Boing.
boing, boing.
Great.
Yeah. It's an oldie but goodie.
It's pretty.
Very
I think
Isn't it pretty?
I think it was a Kapow like way back, maybe.
I don't know. I've had it forever wanting to do it. And originally I was going to do it in a variegated yarn because that's what the picture shows. And I thought, oh, I don't think I want to do that anymore. So
I'm sure it's going to
This
be
is it.
it's going to be much, much prettier in the plain yarn.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Be able to see the pattern much better.
yeah.
You'll have to get some really nice photos, and so we can put them on our website, because the photos we have are
Yeah.
old.
Yeah, I can do that for you. Because the rustic and lace, you're right, is a really good combo.
My favorite.
Yeah.
We had a whole discussion in email yesterday, or text, about pairing the more rustic yarn with the lace pattern, how the contrast really makes it special, earthier, more organic looking.
Mm-hmm.
If you're
The
gonna do
dandelion honey sweater with the stone soup has that
So
feel.
pretty.
It's really
Yeah.
nice.
Same effect, yeah.
Is there a way on the website to search for patterns by yarn weight?
I think if you do just if you just type in fingering weight, all the patterns that call for fingering weight might come up. We are trying to tag things with the yarn weight. We've learned more about tagging as we go on, but it's really hard to go back through the whole website and add it. So try searching let's see what happens if you search for fingering weight or just fingering.
I mean, I know you can sort the yarn that way. I just didn't know if you could sort the patterns that way.
Well, let's see. Designs, all patterns.
I usually go on Ravelry and do a search with Ann Hansen.
And then do it. Yeah, I knew
This
you could
weight
do that.
yarn.
Yeah, I knew you
This
could
type
do it
of
that way.
garments. Yeah.
Yeah, I knew you could do that.
But then I go get the real fulsome information from the website.
Right.
You get all the.
Also, if on KnitSpot, you can go to yarns and then pick the weight, and it gives you all the yarn, plus it gives you all the patterns, a bunch of patterns, yeah.
I knew if you picked an individual yarn, it had suggested patterns.
But it's like 16 pages of, I think I have fingering down. Yeah, fingering.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, if you go to the yarn, Bare Naked Wool's yarn, then you click on fingering weight.
You get every single pattern.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Then anything that has fingering weight in it will come up. So first you'll see the yarns, all fingering.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if, oh no, see, that's not happening on my iPad.
Yeah, I don't
Wait,
see that.
oh wait. I was gonna say
I
maybe
get
it will.
8 products.
Sorry about that. Somebody must have been doing something exciting, like walking by.
If you go to the outright just plain old search at the top, right next to the about, there's that little icon.
Yeah.
And you just search for the word fingering, which I think was what Anne was doing. It does show you the yarns at the top, and then it lists, it says 300 and some odd items.
66, yeah.
Okay.
But it's not going to be like just sweaters or something. You'd have to.
Yeah, well, no, that's helpful.
But if you sorted it from lowest to highest price, then you probably will get the scarf patterns first. Oh, there's no sort.
It doesn't seem to have a sort. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if you could do fingering and sweater. Yeah, if you do fingering and then the word and the word sweater, you get 53 results. So you could do fingering and the garment type you're wanting. I'm clearly sweater oriented.
Did you type in the word and or just
Most search engines allow the word and to be an operator instead of an actual thing it looks for. It uses it to mean plus, you know.
Okay. I didn't know if you used that or like an ampersand or a plus sign.
No, the word and actually.
Word and. Okay, cool. Thanks.
I'm not sure if it's let's see.
So you could probably do that. Like if I wanted to see everything that goat was used in, I could type goat and sweater and it would.
Yeah, try it. I bet anything where it's got a recommendation in the data set that she's working with, right, where they've tagged it or where it's in the description, it should come up. Yeah.
But goat being a fairly new yarn might not have been added to very many patterns yet. Just saying.
Yeah.
Good point.
Would goat be a good thing for dandelion honey if people were just, you know, wanting a third one?
Asking for a friend.
Asking for a friend.
Yeah. You could, yes, you could use it for that.
Yeah, it only comes up with a peony moon scarf if you type goat plus sweater. Doesn't have a sweater, but I bet you could do lace and sweater.
Well, yeah, if you have the fingering weight, you'd want to do fingering or even sport. You know, I feel like the goat has this density to it that might even work with some of the sweaters that call for sport weight.
Yeah. The goat lace or the goat fingering?
The fingering.
Yeah. Cool.
Well, I just carefully swatched in size 9 needles instead of 10s. Looks very nice.
And how do you like it?
It's a little dense. I think I was noticing that, but I just looked again and went, oh, I was almost certain those were 10s, but clearly I was not reading carefully enough.
Can you show again what the pattern is?
Here we go. This is for the knotty pine. Oh, it just stockinette.
Oh, just stockinette.
Yeah.
I think I missed the sneak peek because I've missed so much.
Well, yeah. Some of those
I'll
things
just have
didn't
to
show
be
up when you watch
patient.
the video.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's right. I can watch videos now.
Yeah. Not all of the pictures that Anne showed us show up in the video, sadly. We were interested to figure that out.
Yeah, I told Zach about that.
Guys, I'm leaving to go camping. I've been packing while you guys have been talking.
Oh, good.
So I'm going out to a lake for the weekend. But thanks for entertaining me while I was packing.
Oh, good.
Have a great time.
Thank you. I'll see you guys all on Wednesday.
Good.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
So do they think they can get it so that the pictures will show eventually on the recordings or no?
I don't know. I know nothing about making that happen, except to tell somebody else that it needs to happen. And I don't know if they will go back in and do it or what.
They may not be able to once the recording is done.
Yeah.
It's probably something they would have to set up during the process to record, I would think, but I don't know.
Oh, no, I don't think it happens during the recording. I mean, we have all the pictures on the server. It's a matter of inserting the photos into the.
Oh, they can edit it that way.
Yeah, it would be an editing step as far as I know, just like adding a segue for like a flashcard or something like that.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean it will happen right away or on the videos that are already finished. So I will bring it up again and just make sure that it's definitely on the list of things to do.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to see those pictures of the sheep when you're talking about the yarn.
Yeah, I mean, alternatively, I know this isn't, the same thing, but alternatively, you can go on Google and go to Google Images and search for just about anything.
Sure.
And find them. And it's even kind of better that way because you can see images that are copyrighted, which is we always have to search for photos that are not copyrighted or that are in the public domain in order to share them. So or private pictures that are given to us or ones that we take. So our resources are a little more limited than what you can just see on Google.
Yeah.
This cable is beginning to show up.
Oh, fun.
Oh, that's nice.
Isn't that nice?
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because I think once it's blocked, it'll be obvious that it's sort of it's like a twist with a sort of extra piece. Yeah. And when you're making it, you're not sure what you're doing, but I really like it now.
What pattern is that?
You're knitting herring weave.
It is the herring weave. And bizarrely, the hardest part is the flat part, which who would have thunk? But oh my goodness, it requires lots and lots of thinking. It's beginning to look like herring weave though. But I read everybody's posts about what they thought about doing this pattern. And one person, maybe more than one person, suggested putting just 1 or 2 markers, not going crazy, because you do have to move them, but you also want to know when you're off. And it's really helpful. I put one right smack in the center, and if I get to the center and I'm not right, then I only have to tear out half the row.
Yeah.
Which is really helpful, because figuring out where you went wrong, not easy. So, and going wrong is sort of easy. The other thing that's helpful is what you had given about the lifting, like how to do the make one properly, and that was very helpful because I had been doing it wrong. So my sample didn't look like my real one is.
It's the most difficult little 4-row pattern that's really only a 2-row pattern that you'll ever work.
It's true.
And it's really good that the body of the pieces is straight without shaping, because you get used to it. You will have to shape into it later on, and you really should follow the tips in the pattern to do that.
Okay.
You know, again, set off the number of stitches between the armhole shaping and the edge, and only pay attention really to what's going on.
Oh, okay. This is one where I want to follow Barb's advice again and do a set in shoulder size, right? That go down a size on the shoulder. And so there was a note in hers about how it becomes a half pattern, and so I might wimp out and decide not to do it. But hers came out so nicely, I thought it might be worth the struggle. And by that time I will have done more of this pattern, so maybe I'll be better at it. But I think the marker idea, I'll be careful about that.
You know how, like, when everyone was doing dandelion honey, and we discussed partitioning off one repeat of the pattern in the shaping zone and only kind of dealing with that, you know.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion.
So
and I really understand, having done it like this with the one marker, what you mean by that too. I think I didn't understand it when you talked about it. Dandelion honey, I did my usual marker vomit thing.
Yeah, now I'm really glad that you're discovering the less is more around the markers.
I've learned so much from you and from other people on the thing, but like this has been such a life-changing. I can't even say how much I've missed you guys, because I've learned so much, and not coming for, it feels like forever, but I think it was 2 weeks, has been noticeable in my life. So I missed you. I missed talking about knitting. I missed people talking about their techniques and I miss seeing what everybody's doing. It's such a great part of my life. I didn't realize how much I loved it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
This is why I don't care what the knit along is. I'll be there as much as I can be. Whatever it is. Even if it's socks.
I am looking forward to the Rhinebeck sweater knit along. I have to really organize myself and get my projects in order.
And I showed people before you got on, I'm working on the Northwind cowl in the Corriedale.
Oh, look at that.
I'm loving it. Oh my gosh, it's so much fun.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That reminds me of the Scottish reel, kind of, you know. And the Cheviot Hill shawl.
I don't know what that is, but
oh, it's a cowl pattern of mine.
Okay.
It's called Scottish reel.
Okay.
It's got a it's just a bunch of Gansey, knit and purl Gansey pattern. Fun.
I love it.
Yeah.
That yarn is so cushy. It's really nice. It's great how nice the definition is.
That's going to be really nice. You're in Maine, right, Christy? You live in Maine or New Hampshire?
No, I live in Bellingham, Washington.
Oh, sorry. I don't know why I thought that.
Yep, about 20 miles, not even that, from Blaine, which is where the Ragnar race that Audrey was talking about is starting today. So it's over here. Yeah, I live in Washington.
been working on some deep stash. Maybe some of you will recognize this cowl.
Oh, look at that.
Oh,
Ooh,
the spirit
yarn-
tray holder.
very pretty.
Yep.
Oh, beautiful.
The yarn is having its 10th birthday, I think, later this year. So I have
Well,
the
that's
mitts
precious
done.
since Spirit Trail's
Oh,
gone.
cool.
Yeah. They're not blocked yet and the buttons aren't on, but
But they're cute anyway. Oh, that's nice.
it's been my between clues project along with a couple other things.
It's very cute.
My niece saw me working on it and she really liked it. So
She claimed it, huh? Are you gonna make the mitts as well?
they're done.
Oh, good. I think those mitts are super cute. I always liked
Yeah.
the little detailing on those.
Yeah. Yeah. And you were
And they
mentioning-
have that nice pleated edge.
yeah, the
Yeah.
knit quilt patterns, you know.
Yeah.
That's really nice. I don't
Yeah.
know how the blocking would work on being such a small, I guess you don't really have to worry quite as much with that
Yeah,
small
you
area.
don't.
You can just lay it out.
Yeah, you don't really have to fret about it. But if you were using a yarn that didn't have the body that the holder has, you could do the same thing by threading like a cotton, a fine cotton, like a crochet cotton through the pleats the same way you would do the wire, and drawing it around in a circle and just tightening it as much as you needed to control the edge, if that makes sense. So same thing with the cowl. You could do that way. Jenny, if you don't know what I'm talking about, when we recently did a blanket and scarf and wrap project with the Polworth yarn and barn box that had the same pleated hem. And when I washed it, the pleats were like wanting to splay all over the place.
Okay.
And so I showed everybody what I did is I threaded a blocking wire just through one stitch at the peak of each pleat, so that then I could slide the pleats along that wire to straighten them and even them out without losing control of the whole thing.
Gotcha. That makes
sense.
It works beautifully.
And it
Really
works
nice.
really well, yeah. So Melissa was saying, "Ooh, how would you do that, like in the round?" You know, and that's what I'm referring to. You could do it with cotton thread and accomplish a very similar result in the round.
I have 12-inch really flexible blocking wires that might work.
Oh
too.
yeah, those
Yeah.
work too. I have some of those. I never thought of that.
Yeah, I haven't done the Polworth project yet.
It's a nice one.
Yeah, and those pleats are just lovely. When they've been blocked, they smooth out and they stand up nicely if you fuss with them slightly when you're putting them all in the blocking stage.
Yeah,
It's
that's
very
really
satisfying.
That's another example of a yarn that it loses a little bit of control when it's wet, but then as it dries, it gets it back. Like the memory, as it dries, it recovers its memory, its springiness, and it just dries really beautifully. And all of the yarns in the mystery kit are like that. You know, they aren't as impressive in the, you know, just knit stage or the wet stage, and then they dry. It's like, holy cow, they're so you know, handsome when they're dried.
I'm looking forward to being done and getting to see it. There's something about the blocking and everything just blossoming. It's really nice.
Oh my God.
One more color.
I have to show you guys something. Hopefully I can accomplish this without waking up the baby. Remember I was saying before that somebody was having a very barky day.
number 10 needle is much bigger than a number 9 needle.
Yeah, quite a bit.
Look at Erin.
She was just sacked out. I did make her open her eyes a little bit, but
We're out.
but that's what she does. She's like full of gas until she's not.
Yep.
And some day, like yesterday, she was really quiet, but today she's been running around all day long.
Mine do that as a group. So they're obnoxious and then they're like all dead. You're like, yeah.
And Cardigan does pick up on that energy too. Like,
yep.
When one starts, another.
Yeah, what is it? What is it? Yeah.
I love that cartoon where the dogs are in the front window of the house and the guy's like walking. You see that there's somebody walking away, and the one says, well, there he goes again. Do you think he's ever going to come back? And the other one says, well, usually he comes back. I guess, but you know, who knows? And so the next frame is they're all just sitting there looking out, and then the big one says, I guess we could bark. And the little one goes, oh my God, I was just thinking that. That is so my dogs. Oh my God, I was just thinking that.
There's a Chewy commercial on television with dogs in the window, and one's a big older dog and one's a smaller dog, and the box has been delivered, and the little dog says, the peanut butter box is here, the peanut butter box is here. The older dog looks over at him like, that's just from the Chewy pharmacy. Mom puts peanut butter, the medicine. And there's a pause. And then the dog's thinking again, the peanut butter box is here. He was not going to listen to a thing.
Because when he gets his medicine, he gets peanut butter.
Exactly. And you should tell a story about what Chewy did for you when Cardigan.
Oh my God. They were so
great.
They used to be like this smaller, I don't know if it was so much a family company, but it came across as one. And when you contacted customer service, they were the cutest kids answering the phone and stuff, and they were just always so nice. So
they still do this, by the way. I just saw somebody else had a similar experience.
Oh, did they? Oh, they when Cardigan was attacked by a large dog who broke her jaw off, she had this huge fixator, and she had been eating kibble food, but I had never purchased soft food and I wasn't sure what would be good for her. And she couldn't eat it out of a dish because the fixator didn't allow her to get to the food. It was kind of a real struggle to figure out what she could eat. Anyway, I wrote in to ask, and they were wondering why I was asking these dumb questions. And I said, oh, my dog has a broken jaw. She got attacked by another dog. And they were like, oh, so sympathetic. And they sent my food and I think I had to order drugs or something. And then I get this package in the mail and I was like, I didn't order anything. And I open it up and it's, let me get it. It's a little, they would always say, oh, send us a picture of your dog. We love to see everyone's pets. So I sent a picture and I get this package and they had a little painting made of Cardigan as a gift.
Oh.
And isn't that cute?
It's so great.
And it looks just like her. It's so cute. I love it. It's just that
they sure know about building customer loyalty, don't they?
Yeah. And I was already really taken with them. I mean, they have always provided really good customer service and been helpful when I needed it.
Yeah, it's really unusual because it was bought by PetSmart and PetSmart was smart enough to just leave it alone. they don't do anything. They just let it continue to do what it does. And it, you know.
Yeah, you can't tell.
Yeah, it's unusual to be taken over by another company and be considered successful and just left to go do your own thing. It's really pretty cool.
There are some things, yeah, they send, and anyone who uses them knows they send Christmas cards and birthday cards to the dogs and stuff, which is so cute. But they don't, their customer service people have changed a little bit. I think they are using more like a larger service now, but they're equally nice, and it's still a pleasure to deal with them.
Seems like a good business model to take something that works and not screw it up.
Yeah. Here comes Team Riley. I didn't feed her yet because she was sacked out upstairs.
Like I said, really unusual.
Yeah. But smart.
Yeah, the other day we got her a Chewy box, and the dogs were, Cardigan and Aaron were just ferociously barking out the front window at the FedEx guy, and all the way from the truck to the house, he's like, "But this is for you." You know? He's like, "I'm pretty sure this is what you ordered." You know, I thought that was so cute.
I'm so excited about the Rhinebeck sweater knit along, because I love seeing what people knit with the yarns, you know, how they use some of the yarns that we haven't seen yet. Like Melissa doing I'm having a brain freeze with the stone soup you were talking about.
Oh, the dandelion honey.
Yeah, exactly. But also the thing I love so much is all the first time sweater knitters and how they're so scared, and then they get their confidence, and like you were saying before, Melissa, how much you learn from each other, even when someone like makes a mistake or something, just listening to them getting back on track. And I'm really excited to see what everybody's going to knit for the Rhinebeck sweater knit along, because it's really cool when someone's like, "Oh, I'm going to knit that in this yarn." I really love that.
It's really good. It's really good for participants to see each other work through issues instead of just abandon it, you know.
Yeah, and you have so many new yarns this summer. It's kind of overwhelming that I'm really excited to see people knitting them up.
And I think from a Rhinebeck standpoint, it's so much fun as you walk through Rhinebeck and go, you know, and you see like 15 sweaters of that kind. And you know what I mean? I think it makes it much more fun. I think we did a tally a couple of years ago between Caitlin Hunter and Andrea Mowry. We're like, okay, who's going to win? Because, you know, there was like giant groups of people with, you know, the same sweaters, and it was really interesting, different people's interpretations. And we're like we're like those weirdos that like run up behind people and take pictures of their sweater. I think it's fun.
One time, Mindy, when I was in line at Rhinebeck, I had some French women smoking, asking me, I was wearing Anne's Elas Siez in her Ginny yarn, which is pretty cool. And they were blowing smoke in my face going, "Oh, what is this sweater? Qu'est-ce que c'est ici?" I'm just sort of like,
turn away.
Look it up on Ravelry. It's Ann Hansen Knit Spot. You know,
it's so exciting. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
One of the best things about Ravelry is all the same sweater done by so many different people.
Yep.
So I've never been to Rhinebeck, but that sounds even better because it's all in person. That would be really cool.
Yeah.
You should totally go.
Really cool.
You could do the high-speed train to New York, and then there's a train that goes all from Manhattan to Rhinebeck. Yeah, it's a commuter train.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You should go. Maybe you could work Anne's booth or something.
Oh yeah, then I'd have to go, right?
Yeah, exactly. You
That
did
was
such a
how I
good job
coached.
at Maryland.
That was how I got away with it last time. I was like, well, I've committed to it. I don't want to let her down. Which was true, but
Whatever
also
works.
useful.
So
Yeah,
for
because you
thi-
can take the Acela to anywhere
Yep.
along the East Coast.
Exactly.
For this Rhinebeck knit along, do you choose your own pattern? Or is
Yeah,
everyone saying the
the
same?
rules, the rules are really simple. Either use a knit spot pattern or bare naked wools yarn or both. And to be eligible for prizes, you need to cast on at the start of the knit along and finish before the end of the knit along. And that's it. But you're welcome to bring a work in progress or something else, you know, as long as it's, you know, within those rules.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. And your entry fee gets you a free pattern choice. So it
And are
says
there
was my
Zoom
first.
meetings or whatever along
I'm
with
sorry.
those? Or are there like Zoom, like this kind of thing along?
Oh
with-
yeah, the
Okay.
same thing. It's there. We meet on Zoom on Wednesdays and Saturdays, and yeah, it's very social. You can ask questions.
And the barn box just has one Zoom on a Sunday, or is that every
Yeah.
Sunday? Okay.
No, one Sunday. It's usually about a week after the patterns drop. So this coming month, it will be next Sunday at noon. It's always at noon on that Sunday.
Okay.
Anne, can I ask you a technique repair question?
Yeah.
This is a shawl that I made. Get disconnected here. That the edge got destroyed.
Oh.
Do you have any suggestions on the best way to fix it? I'm usually good at fixing stuff, but this one has me stumped.
Is it the bind off edge or?
No, it's just a
On the
knit
side.
2 or knit 3, then yarn over edge.
And I'm sorry. Oh, it was already finished or?
Yeah, it was already finished.
Oh.
It's a repair question. So this might be just a repair question in general.
I meant, is it the bind off? Oh, it's a bind
The
off.
side edge.
Like you
Bind
add.
off is down here.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so it was at the beginning in the work section.
Well, it's the beginning or ending of rows, but you know,
it's all the damage is at the edge.
Yes.
Wow, it looks like the knit along project kind of, you know, in different colors. So several different rows are damaged at least.
Probably 10 rows just along the edge. Does anyone have suggestions on how to fix it? Because there isn't, I mean, there are a couple broken ends of yarn here, but it's not every row.
I mean, my instinct would be to say, is it knit in a crescent? Like, how is it knit?
Yes, it's a crescent.
Can you pick up stitches?
Like a pie shaping where you increase all at once in a row?
It's a really wide and pretty shallow crescent.
Oh, okay. Oh, so the damage is where, like pretty close to the bottom?
It's close to one edge. So here's.
Right, but it's near the bottom of the knitting.
Yes.
Nearer that than at the top. Okay.
Right.
Oh, see, I thought it was up at the top and it was a small area while you were holding it up. I was gonna say you could probably slice that off and re-knit it and then graft it back on, but.
Oof.
Yeah.
Tough one.
That's not the yarn. Having the yarn isn't a problem, but it's
Personally, I would probably just pick up the stitches where it's safe, so no more of them would run, and I would just knit a patch somehow and just not even try to stay in pattern, just accept it's a feature of the shawl.
It's a design element.
Yeah.
And do the edge stitches, because you've got like a 3 or 4 stitch edge with an eyelet.
Yep.
And then just do stockinette in the middle where there's
Exactly. I
Yeah.
wouldn't even try to personally.
I think
it looks like it's actually in perfect position because the pattern, the open work that's part of the shawl pattern actually stops right at the damage. And so
It
you could
does.
just embrace that and
Exactly.
just do the rest in stockinette.
Well,
Yeah.
it's reverse stockinette, so
Yep.
there isn't even any patterning right there.
That's
It's-
even easier.
Yeah.
There's no good
And then,
way.
you know, leave yourself, once you get that patch knit in, and you'd have to do some sort of intarsia or something on the side near where the lace starts. And then I'd keep as many of the edges as you could to weave in. So, and I would use like a fuzzy sticky yarn that would help hold the rest of the fabric so it wouldn't run.
She's got the yarn, she
Yeah,
said.
I've got the yarn.
Oh, but like if it's a superwash, it might not hold as well.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, I mean, I would knit in that patch like in short rows so that you can fill in that little scoop that you've got there. And then just knit on, is it a garter stitch, Ash? Knit 3 and
yeah, yep.
yeah, I would just on those live stitches, I would knit that as an attached edging, maybe. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Yeah.
Try something like that. And then wet it and block
Almost
it.
no one will notice, you know?
Yeah, wet it and block it and forget
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
Or sew it, steek it, and pick up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just looks like a few rows of sort of short row reverse stockinette and then put your edging on. You could probably even do the edging like horizontal and garter stitch and probably nobody would even notice.
Yeah,
That's
I think you
Especially once
could.
you're wearing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And having the actual yarn, you can pick and choose the yarn so that you get sort of the same color range, right? You can just pull, I mean, you've got extra yarn, you can just pull until you find a chunk you like.
Right.
That'll match pretty well. I mean, it's already variegated, so it doesn't have to match super well, and
Sure.
just embrace it. Yeah. I have a shawl similar to that in construction, and a moth got really hungry in a bunch of different places that are all smack in the middle of all the garter section. And I think I'm just gonna, I don't know, maybe do the knitted patches.
Yeah.
Or a
I
dog
feel like
blanket.
if it was in the middle, I'd have much better luck repairing it. Having it along the edge just makes it
Yeah,
hard.
the edge is a bit off-putting, that's true.
Or you
You
can
can always
felt
tear
turn
it out if
into
you
a
don't like it.
doll shawl.
Or a dog blanket.
Give it to a grandchild.
Yeah,
I
what
do
happened
wear it.
to it? Was it your dog or something else?
I have no idea how it happened.
Oh.
Kind of looks like something chewed it.
Yeah, I have cats, but they generally don't do this. They
No.
leave the yarn alone for the most part.
It kind of looks like it could have caught on a zipper or
That's what I'm thinking, that one of the eyelets caught on something and I didn't know it.
Yeah.
It's
Thanks
not a
for-
very big space,
I-
so you can always try it, and if you don't like it, you can pull it out and try something else.
That's true. That is very true.
I'm afraid I need to go, but it was super nice to catch up with everybody. I'm glad you all have power.
Yes.
I'm glad
Be able to be here
that you
next
have
week.
power.
Me too. Thank
Melissa,
you.
will you be able to be here next week?
I sure should hope so.
Our company willing.
This is a thing I have to do. Yeah. as long as I have power, I think I need to be here. And the power thing, you know, that wound will heal. It's only been a day or two. I'm just freaking out still, but yeah. And I'm not freaking out as much because air conditioning helps. 88 degrees is not good for your brain. You start having weird thoughts, and you know, you just shouldn't try to do that. So when you're not used to it, it's not good for you. But I'm fine now, so I'll be back next week. The weekdays never works out, but the weekend.
Good.
So
We'll see you Saturday.
Yep. I hope that your sister does well this week, California Anne.
Thank you. I'm sure she's going to be fine. She's got all the right ingredients.
That's good. All right. Talk to you later, guys.
Bye.
See you later.
Looks like time for me to take off too. I have many more boxes to unpack.
Time. Take care, ladies.
All right, bye-bye.
I am perfectly content to sit here all day. We've been having tons of rain and it's muggy and wet and muddy. There's nothing I can do outside. So I did all my chores this morning.
We didn't have tons of rain, but it did start raining like around 3 o'clock this morning, and it rained pretty much through the night then. And it is soggy because it's humid. But it's supposed to stay dry until later tonight. So
we've been having all kinds of coastal lows, and my tomatoes are all splitting on the vine. I think I've had about 9 inches of rain in the last week, which is great because we're in a drought. So it's making a dent in it. But
are they ripening or are they splitting?
Well, when they ripen, the raccoon's coming in and stealing them. So I can't win either way. I can't
because what I do with the tomato, I mean, as what I meant was like as a whole, they're in their ripening stage. They're not.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You can pick them when they're just still kind of green and place them top down on newspaper and cover them with newspaper, and they'll ripen and be really tasty, you know, before they split. You know, you can pick them before they split.
That's a good idea because I'm getting a little tired of green tomatoes. I love them, but I've been eating them a lot.
Yeah, put out like somewhere in your kitchen, like a cardboard on your countertop. You've seen it at my house.
Yeah, we did it with tomatoes.
Yeah,
yep.
The tomato staging area. Yeah. And the newspaper is a really good thing to cover them with for ripening. They seem to gas out really well on that. And
that's a really good tip, actually.
Because with heirloom tomatoes, even in the best of conditions, you won't get anything to eat if you wait until they're ripe to pick them, because they split and they get moldy right on the vine.
Yeah, I mean, I've been able to do that most years, is pick them when I want to eat them, but right now it's a contest to the death with these raccoons. They're driving me crazy.
And water. I mean, if it's dry, then you have rain, they just blow up like balloons and split. That's what they do.
You know what's so insulting is they eat 3/4 of the tomato, and when they get close to the ends, which are actually the best part, they just chuck it right where they are. And it's like, are you kidding me? You had to go, and they'll eat half of another one rather than finish the one they picked.
We have raised boxes.
And we have skunks that go along and take one bite out of the whole bottom row of tomatoes all along the row.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I spotted a squirrel going up my trellis and stealing my heirloom cherry tomatoes, because all the cherry tomatoes in the grocery stores are like those sugary grape ones, which I can't stand because they don't taste like tomatoes and they're too sweet. And so I'm growing some heirloom varieties of cherry tomatoes, and those little buggers, I just keep wishing an eagle. We've had hawks and things keep the squirrel population down, and we had 4 eagles in the neighborhood over the winter, and they seem to have moved on. And I just wish they'd come back and just take care of some of the problems I'm having.
We could send Riley and Aaron in a box, and you could just release them into your yard. And
oh my God, I would love that, because Mattis and Peppa look at squirrels and they're like, what, you want me to do something about it? Just a squirrel.
Oh, these two are squirrel hunters.
Maybe that's what I need, a terrier.
Yep. I have one I can rent you.
I'll take her. I actually do like some terriers.
They're fun dogs.
Yeah, there are some breeds I have not enjoyed, but others I've really enjoyed.
I mean, I have to say, I mean, Riley races around after the squirrels and bunnies, and she almost catches up with them, but she never really does. But Aaron can catch prey.
Oh, yeah.
She's super fast. So a rat terrier is a good choice.
I had a Rhodesian Ridgeback who was a mix between a terrier and a Rhodesian Ridgeback. So she looked like a small Rhodesian. She's about 35 pounds. That sucker got our next door neighbor, didn't hurt the cat, but had the cat pinned up our next door neighbor's sliding glass door.
Oh.
One time I looked down, she was on a leash. I looked down, she had a chipmunk in her mouth. I'm like, did the thing jump into your face or what? Like, she could catch anything. She was so fast.
And when she gets bored, Erin sits there snapping flies out of the air. I mean, she's just like, she'll do anything that moves.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh,
yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, what's really amazing is my rescue with no eyes trying to catch flies.
Oh, yeah. You can hear them.
All with this hearing.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yep.
He almost gets them.
Yep. Somebody called them sky raisins? Kind of like that.
I like that. Yeah, she was chasing a little baby bunny the other day, and the bunny almost lost, but did manage to find a little place in the fence to get through. Oh,
I know. Aren't you cheering for the bunny? Go.
Kind of, but you know, on the other hand, they're a pain in the neck too.
Yeah.
And whatever was out there today, I don't know what it was, but she was pinned to those corner windows. There was something out there. I don't know if it was a cat or a bunny. Just had to have it.
What's the update on how the fundraiser is going?
We have about, last check, Linda was up to date, and we had about $4,500.
Wow.
And then this week, Danielle did, like, on Instagram and stuff, she did like a $1 day, and I know a bunch of people took advantage of that to give.
Does Ramona know yet?
How much? No.
Yeah.
I haven't talked to Ramona. Like, she's been this summer around here, there are so many. Sorry. Amazon is delivering across the street. Oh my God, look at his truck. It's so full of packages from Prime Day. Anyway,
Prime Day.
we just have so many stray dogs around here. The pound has like 40 dogs at a time, and which is over full for them. And she's got a constant, like, working on 3 dogs at a time, you know, trapping lost and stray dogs. It's just crazy. So she hasn't been around too much. Erin,
I can't wait to hear how surprised she is.
yeah, she'll be really excited. She'll be really grateful. Dog food has just gone through the roof. I'm sure anybody who has dogs knows that.
Yeah.
And if you're trying to feed your dog something decent, it's just gotten really expensive.
Amazingly expensive.
Plus with shelter dogs, it's good if you can feed them, you know, make some fresh meat for them and stuff like that. Like they really, really need that biological support to get stronger and be better.
Yeah, and prices will just go up even more this fall.
I mean, what I'm dealing with is just lack of supply. Like the Honest Kitchen food has been out of stock everywhere for the one that we use, the base that we use is just been, so I was using a different base, but now that's also out of stock. So I tried now a different brand and that's a lot more expensive. And I don't know, it's just a little frustrating. Oh, here's Cardigan. Hi, Cardigan. You want to come up and say hi? Come here. Come here, Eric. Come on. Oh, she doesn't want to come up and say hi. She wants me to get up and let her out. I'm gonna leave because I haven't eaten all day. So I will see you guys on Wednesday.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.